Okay, so sorry about this video. I know it's not the best quality, but I could not get my computer to actually work right and load up all my videos from my phone. So this is the only thing I have. But let's do the writing and see if you can get this started. So everybody has one of these, okay? And this is your little book that you're going to use. And you also have, what did I do with them? A whole bunch of these papers, like this. And you have something like this, okay? And let's see if I can get it. And you should also have these that you did too, okay? And you should have your writing notebook as well. What you have to do this weekend is, or this week for school, is do your introduction. So this is how we're going to do introduction. We're going to make a plot chart. But we're going to make a volcano plot chart. So what you need to do is you need to open your writing book, and we're going to make a volcano. Okay, so you should have flat line, and then it goes across, and then we're, sorry, this is hard to do, going up, and then here's the top of your volcano, and it goes back down, and then it levels out again. Okay, so take a minute and go ahead and draw this. You can pause the video if you need to, and once you have that done, let me pause the video. Okay, sorry. So once you're done with that, you're going to make a few dots on your volcano. So we have one here. This is the introduction of our story, and things kind of go pretty level. They're pretty cool. Everything's fine. And then something happens to make things escalate and start heading up to this point of the volcano. And what happens at this point of the volcano? Yeah, it explodes. Okay, so we are going to get a red map color. Let me pause it. Okay, so here we have an explosion. What? There's a face. Here's the explosion. Now I'm going to take my black pencil, you can see, and make some smoke. Okay, so I'm going to put some smoke over here. Sorry, I'm drawing. Up at the top of the volcano, so there's my smoke. And I'm gonna add some color to my volcano and stuff because I don't like it just a line like that. So let me do that real quick. Okay, so here is my volcano. Ta-da! Okay, now what does this have to do with our story? Well, this is going to be kind of our story map of what's going to happen. So we're going to start on this line that goes up and then back down. This is all of the events that happen. Okay, so the events here are at the beginning, and they're going to be nice and calm, and things are going to begin our story, because no story really just starts out absolutely crazy, and that's right in the middle of the action, right? So we have some normal events here that lead up to things changing. Suddenly now we have some conflict, some stuff's happening, and then up here is going to be the point in the story that the crisis happens. This is the really bad stuff. Okay, so, and then something happens and it starts decreasing, going down, and then it's going to level back off, and it's going to be the end of the story. Okay, this is going to be your story chart, and we're also going to do a few other things, but first, let's see, let me go ahead and fill this in, okay, with a few things so you can do that. Okay, so I have mine. Now, hang on, before we look at this, how do you know what story to do, right? What kind of story you're going to do? Well, you can pick one of these if you want to. These are some of the stories, and this is the story summary down here. And this was your little lure that you did. So if you like one of these, you can pick them. Okay, you can pick one of these. Or if you don't want to do one of those stories, then you can make up your own story. Now I'm Gabe and Bella. Okay, thanks to them. I owe them all the credit for this. They came up with the mutant crickets, okay, which are called crickers because they're a cross between a cricket and a tiger. Okay, so that's what I'm doing for this example. And I'm going to cover this up. So here's what I did. Let me see if I can see if you can see that. Okay, so started out as there was some animal testing, pretty normal, okay, in the lab. Then nothing really happened. They tried some tests, but they weren't successful. So the scientists go home, but then they come back the next day and the animals are mutated and like the laboratory is all crazy. And then on this one, it moves up here. And so they break out, all the crazy crickets break out and go into the city. Then the army's called to come help because you know that's what happens. Then there's a big fight that happens and the big explosion here. What is that? Okay, this is what happens. Boom. Secret nest. Okay, and all the eggs hatch and they go crazy on the city. Okay, so that is my crisis moment. That's what happens up here. It's a big crisis moment. So now I have to think of some stuff that starts making the scene look better. Like there's hope for the city now. Maybe we're going to win. So let me write a few things down there. Okay. Okay, ready. So here's what I put. Oops, can you see that? Yeah. Okay. So after the nest is released, they all hatch and everything, the scientists, they come up with like a secret serum to correct what they did. Okay, so there's a gas serum invented right here, and then after that the crickets they climb to a high tower because they want to let the gas out all over the city from a high place, and the crickets try to stop it. And then, but finally, you know, the crickets, they didn't stop them, and they let the gas loose. And here's when things start leveling out. There's not any major action anymore. Okay, the crickets turn back to normal, and the lab gets totally destroyed, and they destroy all the serum, not the serum, but the stuff that they use at the beginning to make the crickets crazy. Okay. They destroy all that stuff, and everybody lives happily ever after. No more crickets. Okay, so anyway, that is mine right here. It's done. So this is your example. Now this is just the events, right? Remember when we did our writing and we had like the tomatoes or the events? Okay, this is just the event part. We still have to do the setting, and we have to do the characters for our story. Okay, so let's do that now. So I'm gonna get out. I lost it. Oh, my blue. Let me go get my blue. Okay, I have lots of blues. I'm ready. Okay, so let me see which one. I think I'll do this one. Okay, so I have to think. Okay, here's where I'm starting. Now I need to think of all the different settings for all of this. Okay, so at the beginning, they're doing testing. And remember, it's not successful, or they think it's not successful. They find out the next day it is. Then they go home and they come back. And that's all like with the lab. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make some clouds over here. See my clouds? Sorry, I got some water on my paper. I'm going to make some clouds for these places. But you can do one if you wanted to. It doesn't matter. Because I'm going to write the same thing in both of my clouds because the setting is in the lab. Okay, that's where the setting is. It's in the lab. Now what happens here? They get out and the setting changes because now all of this is taking place where? In the city, because they're destroying it. Okay, so I'm going to take my blue and I'm going to draw a nice couple of big clouds. See my two big clouds? Okay, and I'm going to write the setting, where's my setting? The city, okay? So I'll do both. So we have the city, okay? That's our setting right here. Now, at the end of my story, what happens? Okay, they put gas everywhere, and then right here it ends back in the lab, right? Because they destroy it, right? Okay, so I'm going to make another one because my setting changed. At the end, there we go. At the end, it goes back to the lab. So it starts with the lab, and then it ends with the lab. Okay? So now we got that done. Now we can do our characters. Now I made a whole nother one, so I'm going to use that one to do the characters. Okay? And for the characters, here's the fun part. We're going to make lava. Okay, so I need a red or an orange to do that. And I used orange on this. So here's an example of the characters. Now, remember, we need to have a main character that's here the whole time. Okay? And then we can have other characters that come and they go, and some of them might die, and some of them might move on and just do something else. So here's an example of the characters. Now, at the beginning of my story, I have two people. Alex is the main character, and then here's the other scientist. And this line shows, let me see if I got this right. This line goes all the way through, okay, because Alex stays through the whole story because he's the main character, okay? But the scientist guy that's with him, the main scientist, when he comes back and he finds all the mutated crickets, guess what? He doesn't make it out of the lab. So, no more. He's no longer in my story, okay? But then later, when the crickets get into the city and stuff, they break out and get into the city. A new character comes in, Sarah. Okay, Sarah comes in, and she helps Alex, and they kind of work together and do all this. And you notice how long is Sarah in the story? The whole rest of the time. She's there for the rest of the story. And when the army comes, there's this guy named Joe. Okay, maybe G.I. Joe. And he stays here just long enough for the big crisis moment when they all hatch out. And just like the scientist down here, he didn't make it out of the lab. Well, the army men did not make it out of the city after they all hatched. So he ends right here. But the rest of my story is for Sarah and Alex. Okay, so you make one of these. Pretty fun. And figure out how long your characters are going to be in your story and where they need to be. So if you need to pause it, you can pause it and take a look at this, kind of go off of it. Okay. Now, when you're done with this, you're going to have your whole story mapped out. So you're ready to go. All right. And we're ready to do our introduction. So let's look at this. Here's your book. And you're going to open it up to the first page. Okay. Now, here's the first page, and you have to make a decision here. Do you want to do one of your story lures that we'd had? Do you want to hook your audience and lure them into reading by taking some little snippet out of your story? Do I want to take this and maybe take a snippet out of this part, the really crazy part, okay? When the crickets are hatching out and they're attacking everybody? Do I want to put that at the very beginning and make my audience go, whoa, what kind of crazy story is this? Okay, I can do that. If you are doing one of the stories based off of here, then you can use what you already wrote, and that's fine. You can use one of these. Now, Miss Bones, do I have to do one of those? Do I have to put a lure in there? No, you don't have to. But if you want to, guess what? It has to be on the first page. Okay, that's where you want it. Then you can go to the next page, and we're going to write our introduction. Okay, so if you want to do your lure, you can do that now or you can wait. If you want to wait, save this first page. Don't write on it. Okay, you want to save it for later. But if you want to go and do it now, that's fine. Now, if you don't want to do a lure at all, guess what you're going to use your first page for? You're going to use it for writing your introduction. Okay, so let's do the introduction. What are we going to write? Let me, hang on one second. Okay, sorry, I had to get some stuff together. Now remember this. Let me move it over. Right there. There we go. Okay, this is our narrative knife. And we talked about all this stuff in class. We talked about the mood grip. And you have this in your journal, in your, in your writing notebook. If you need to look at it, it's in there. Well, I can't get this straight. You have your mood grip, which is the feeling, the overall feeling that your paper has when you read your introduction. And then you have your main character, okay? Make sure you mention him. So your introduction needs to have the feeling of one of these type of things here. Either like the mystery, the adventure, it needs to have that adventurous feel, or a science fiction, which is what mine is. And guess what? In the introduction, I'm going to talk about there being a lab, experimentation going on, so it's going to feel like a science fiction story. So you need to have a mood grip at the beginning. You need to talk about your main character, so I need to mention Alex, right, because he's my main guy. And then you have to allude to the purpose of your story. And in a science fiction, which is what I'm doing, okay, the purpose is they're mutating some animals to do experimentations with. So I'm going to have that in my introduction too, so that I can give my audience the feel of the whole book to introduce it to them on my first little chapter there. Okay, so here is my introduction. Okay, right here. This is my introduction. Maybe you can see that. There we go. Okay, so now this whole thing, I circled it in pink because we need to have that feeling, that mood grip for the whole thing. It should feel like a science fiction introduction when you read it. So here we go. Right up here, two scientists. There I mentioned scientists, so that adds to the feeling, right? We're busy working on in a lab, and they dropped a few drops of pink fluid onto a cricket. So here's got some mysterious pink fluid, right? Do you think it will work? It has to work. We have no more tiger's blood. Oh, so they're using something weird, some tiger's blood, right, for something. They set the cricket back in its cage. Nothing. It's okay, sir, said Alex. Oh, there's my main character, Alex. Maybe we will have better luck tomorrow. I hope so, said the scientist. If we fail this time, we will have to shut down the project. Oh, a project? Okay, so they're doing some serious experimenting here, trying to get a goal. With that, the two locked the lab up and went home for the night. Okay, so between, right up here, between doing drops of pink liquid onto the crickets and using tiger's blood, we kind of get the feel that this whole thing is scientist-like. I've mentioned my character, and we have the purpose going on over here, right? That they're doing experimentations, because I've mentioned the drops of pink fluid, the crickets, and the tiger's blood, right? So they're doing some stuff. So you need to make sure your introduction has those parts, okay? Remember, you have that knife in your booklet, okay? It's in there, and you can rewind it and look at the over here. So you're going to actually write your introduction in here. So remember, if you want your hook, that goes on the very first page, then your introduction can go on the next one. But if you're not doing a hook, put it right here. You're good to go. Okay. And that's all you have to do. Now, really quick, let me tell you what you can do if you want with the other stuff that I gave you. Now, one of them's a cover page. Let me grab a book. Every book has a cover page, okay? It's going to have the title on it and a picture that has to do with the story. Now, if you're not ready to make a picture yet, you don't have to make a picture yet, okay? You can do it later when you start writing more of your story and you maybe would get a better idea of what kind of picture you want. Or if you're not sure what title you want to title your book yet, you can wait. You don't have to make the cover page yet. But if you want to, you can go ahead and do it. That's fine. And you're just going to use your sheet that you have, okay, and the one that says the cover page, and decorate it up and cut it out and glue it right here. And then you'll be done with that. We also have another page called the prologue hook. That is what you can do for this one. That first page right here, your prologue hook, the one that you lure your audience in. So if you want to use that, put it on that first page. We also have another very important page, this one. This is the synopsis or the summary for your story, okay? Now, you have a cover on the front, but on the back, you have the synopsis, okay? This is like a summary of what the story is. So, if I'm in a library and I'm looking at this book, and I was like, I wonder if I want to read this book. I can flip this book over and read the back and say, this is very interesting. I think I want to read this because I love these kind of stories. Okay, and it tells you what it is on the back. So, on the back of your book, guess what you're going to have? On the back, you're going to have a little page that has a summary just like this one, okay, of your whole book. Now, if you went the easy route and you used one of these, okay, guess what this is? Right here. That's your summary. So you don't have to make one up. It's already here for you. So you just have to write it. You just got to copy it and you're done. And if you want to change it up a little bit, you can. That's fine. But these are the summaries, and they all have one, okay? Every one of them has one. You have your story hook here and your summary here. So that means you already have your summary for the back and you have your story hook for your first page already done, all right? But if you're making up your story, you have to make up your own story hook and you have to make up your own synopsis to go on the back of your book. So hopefully I'm not being confusing. And here's your images. These are for your book to put as we start writing in here and we write all our stuff. You can make pictures and arrange them in here however you want. And you're going to write around the pictures, okay? Now, Andrew asked me, can I type this stuff? Can I type my synopsis that goes on the back? Yes, you can. If you want to do that, that's fine. Can I type my my prologue hook to go right here and then glue that in? Yeah, you can type it if you want. That's fine. It's no big deal. So, now remember, the only thing you have to do this week, okay, is I want to see, gosh, I lost everything. I want to see this, okay? I want you to make one of these for your story, and then I want you to write your introduction in your book, okay? That's all you have to do this week. The other stuff is extra that you can do some this week, some next week, whenever you want to do it, okay? So just remember, if you do a prologue hook, save that page or else go ahead and do it now. All right? So that's it. You're good to go. Hopefully you enjoyed making your lava plot chart, okay? I thought it was pretty fun. And I will see you Tuesday.